Welcome back to another episode of the Addicted to Quitting a podcast, where we are focusing on what? Quitting the habits that no longer serve us so we can what? Elevate our health, our habits, and our happiness. I am going to break down those three sections specifically today, which I have done in other podcasts. No. Welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Quitting, where we are focusing on quitting the habits that no longer serve us so we can elevate our health, our habits, and our happiness. My name is Gentry. I am a divorced mom to 4 busy boys, including a set of twins. And I also am a life and recovery coach. My background is in accounting, where I used to work as a controller at a fruit packing warehouse. And I actually left that job after I got sober to lean into my purpose and passion, which is helping people live a fulfilled and happy and healthy life on the other side of addiction. So welcome to this week's episode. We're going to be talking all about Sober October. Are you ready? Let's get started. So what is Sober October? I am so glad you asked because we're going to get into that in this episode today. So what is Sober October? Where did it originate from? What are the benefits you might see by taking a break from alcohol for 30 or 31 days? And then what are some steps you could take to have a more successful month-long break from alcohol? So first, what is Sober October? It is a pledge to abstain from alcohol for the month of October. So it's exactly how it sounds. And it began in 2014 as a fundraising campaign for the Macmillan Cancer Support. So it's a UK-based charity that provides support to people living with cancer. Why did they decide to do a month-long break from alcohol as a fundraiser for people living with cancer? Well, because you know what? We don't talk about this enough. We talk about smoking. We talk about bad diet. We talk about chewing tobacco. We talk about family history. We talk about all these things that cause cancer. We don't really talk a lot about alcohol being a relating or linking to causing cancer. Why? Because I believe as a society, we are so socially accepting of alcohol that we don't really want to hear the bad things that it does for us. Like it's a toxin. It is something that is poisoning our bodies to give us an effect. But we don't want to talk about it because then we'd have to address our relationships with alcohol. And it's so socially acceptable that that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. So I love that they decided to do this because it does start to shine the light on how unhealthy alcohol actually is for us. So the idea of this fundraiser was for people to pledge money and say, I'm going to abstain from alcohol for either 10 days or 20 days or 21 days, I think it might have been, or 31 days. So it says like, I'm going to abstain from alcohol and take a break from alcohol and just kind of reevaluate my relationship in that time and that break. And as my accountability to that pledge, I'm going to donate to this foundation. So Sober October began in 2014 and it quickly spread. So when I got sober in 2018, this is something that I already had heard of. I already had actually probably tried in 2017. I didn't get sober till 18, so I know I didn't make the month long in 17. But it's a way for people to just reevaluate their relationship with alcohol. So over the last few years, Sober October has really become a worldwide movement, and it hasn't always been tied back to this nonprofit. It hasn't been tied back to this fundraiser, but more of just people deciding like, hey, for the month of October, before we go into the holidays, I'm going to take a break from alcohol and see how I feel. The reason I really love the idea of doing this in October as well is that you do get to have that break and abstain from alcohol before you go into the holiday. So if you get into a really good system, into a routine, which is what I want to talk about the last of this podcast, is like, hey, guess what? If you start implementing some healthier habits as you remove this bad one, you actually could probably start to feel a lot better over time and not need to pick it back up November 1st. Because the worst thing you could do is say, hey, I took a break from alcohol for the month of October or the month of July, like dry July or dry January, and I felt better and I was doing good, but then I just went right back to that same bad habit because I didn't really implement any healthier new habits during that time. And imagine how you could feel at the end of this year if you, instead of just saying I was sober for October, you were able to say, like, I've been sober since October. So, like, I made it through the holidays. I made it through the family gatherings, I know there's people out there listening to this, like, I don't know if I can stay sober to be around my family. I mean, I can. I love my family and I'm used to it by now. But I just couldn't stay sober to stay sober. It had nothing to do with my family. But I think we start to rely on alcohol as a crutch. So if you started this October 1st and you're like, hey, I really want to take a break from alcohol, and you implemented these healthier habits that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, what would your life look like on January 1st if you had 90 days of alcohol free, not just 31, but like a little over 90 days of alcohol free going into next year, and you've implemented these healthier habits in those 90 days, and you've taken a break from your poor coping mechanisms of booze on a Friday night, or just checking out with alcohol. What if you implemented something healthier for the next 90 days, the last quarter of the year? How could your life look differently? Like, how could the holidays be if you were able to stay present? Like, you've already put in the time. You're at 60 days before you even get to December. You're going to be more relaxed. You're going to be more level-headed. You're going to be more patient, and being able to go through those holidays in a present mind. Like, can we just like think about that for a second and just like, how safe would that be? I know when I was drinking, I never felt 100% safe. I felt like I was going to say something, and I was always in this heightened state of like, I'm about to screw something up, because I usually was about to screw something up. So just imagine if you started this today, if you did this month-long challenge, how you could feel at the end of the quarter. So what are some benefits you might experience if you take a break from alcohol for just this month? So I know I kind of future tripped us there a second ago, where I was saying, like, what would it look like 90 days from now? I'm not asking you to do 90 days today. I'm asking you to just look at this 1 month first. But if you feel good, if you implement these things I talk about, why not keep kicking the can down the road? I'm not going to future trip you. Let's just start with October, though. So what are some benefits you might see in the month of October if you took a break from alcohol for this month? So you could have more energy, better sleep quality, improved concentration, lower cholesterol, lower risk for cancer, which is how this whole movement started, was as a fundraiser for cancer. More control over your emotions, less irritability and anxiety, increased ability to fight off illness. So your immune system actually would get a boost if you took a break from alcohol, because think about alcohol being like ethanol that you're pouring in your digestive system all the time, and how it's like breaking down those natural, healthy, like bacteria that you need in your gut, and you're constantly dumping alcohol in there. It's going to start to affect your hormones and your immune system and all the things that you need to have a really healthy, happy lifestyle. So do all these things happen at the beginning of Sober October? No. I have to be completely honest with you guys, because I love you and I don't want to set you up for failure. But when you first start to take a break from alcohol, depending on how much you were drinking, this is really dependent on how much you were drinking. If you were a heavy drinker, consistent drinker, taking a break from alcohol the first couple days, you are going to not sleep as well. You might have some night sweats. You are going to be a little bit more in a fog. You're going to probably have a little less emotional control. You're probably going to feel a little more irritable and a little bit more anxious in the beginning. And I'm asking you and I'm begging you to just hold still, like hold on tight, keep doing what you're doing. And I promise you, all these benefits do come with time. Again, it depends on how much you've been drinking. So if you are a heavy drinker, the beginning of taking a break from alcohol can feel overwhelming. And I explain this as kind of like your brain way, like pathways in your brain, as kind of like rivers in your brain. So if you are used to having the river flow very, very consistently, the automatic habit of being like, I'm going to drink alcohol. Think of that as like a rushing river. Like when I'm stressed on a Friday, on a weekend, during a ball game, on a Sunday, I have a beer while I watch football, or whatever the time is that you drink. If you are consistently doing that, where it's just such a habit, then that is like a really fast flowing river that your brain automatically is going to put you in that category. Like, okay, it's Sunday, we're watching football, grab a beer. Like, you don't even think, like, the water is rushing so fast. So to overcome that, there is discomfort. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. There is discomfort. You're going to have to kind of create a new pathway. You're going to have to like dam up that pathway. And it takes a little bit of discomfort. It takes a little bit of muscle. It takes a little bit of like undoing what you've done to kind of channel that in a different direction. So at the beginning of Sober October, depending on how fast that river is for you, like how quickly you default back to alcohol, it is going to probably at first cause a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of mental fog. It's going to be a little bit of anxiety or irritability. But if you give it 72 hours, and I'm sure that there's some sort of scientific basis behind this, and I'm sure my friend over at Sober Powered Podcast, Jill, has talked about this, but something that I have noticed that is that any client that is struggling with alcohol, if I say give it 72 hours, like 73 days, and sometimes you have to take that 1 minute at a time. Like, okay, I'm just not going to drink right now. I'm just not going to drink right now. So like 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time. But if you can go 3 days and really let your body just kind of like detox a little bit in those 3 days, you're going to start to feel better. I don't know the science behind that. And you know what? If you're a heavy drinker, it might be a little bit longer. But I know for myself, when I was able to get through 3 days of not drinking, I really did start to like, okay, I feel a little bit more clear. I feel a little bit more in control. I feel a little bit less irritated. Obviously, things are going to trigger you. So weekends are really hard for me. Days off of work were really hard for me. Certain things were triggers for me. But if you could give yourself the detox, just give yourself 72 hours to not drink alcohol, especially if you're a heavy drinker, then your body will start to kind of like detox that alcohol and start to feel a little bit better. And then from there, what we need to do is implement better habits, implement healthier routines, implement better connections and communities. So I like to focus on 3 areas, and this is something I talk about in my communities. This is something I talk about in my boot camps, but it's 3 areas that we really need to focus on, which one is our health. So if you're going to remove alcohol, what you need to do is implement something that is going to be healthy for you. So whether it's going to be moving your body more consistently, or it's going to be meal prepping more often, or choosing healthier options for your food, or drinking enough water. I've been on a water kick. Hold on, let me take a quick drink because I just filled this up. But whatever it might be, find a habit that you can implement that's going to directly affect your health, your physical body. So water, vitamins, meditation, could be physical or mental. Moving your body, so implementing some sort of routine during the month, and it doesn't have to be crazy. I don't want you to go from like, I used to drink crazy like excessive amounts of alcohol, so now my new habit is that I'm going to work out every single day. No, we want baby steps, especially when you're trying to break bad habits. You want something that's going to be easy to implement and easy to kick down the pebble across the road. If it's too hard, if it's too heavy, you're going to get tired of trying to do it, and your brain's going to go right back down that rabbit hole or that flood to alcohol. So what can we do that's going to be something super small? So maybe you're not working out regularly right now, and you're just going to say, I'm going to work out consistently for 3 days a week. I'm going to put them on my calendar. I'm going to schedule them for times that I would typically drink, so that I am kind of countering that feeling with something healthy. But it can just be something as small as a few days a week, or it could be that something more intense. But I want you to I want it to be consistent, something that you can do consistently. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with these things, because you're trying to remove a bad habit and implement some baby steps, easier ones. And so these baby step easier ones should be things that you can do consistently, repeatedly, so that it becomes a habit. And so your mind doesn't have to think about it as much. So like water, even like drinking more water, really can be like when you're feeling like you need a drink, grab a water. When you feel like you need that, like put a Crystal Light packet in it and just have a flavored water, but something that's going to kind of like, not just white knuckle not drinking, but implement something that is going to kind of channel that energy in a different direction, a healthier direction. So the second area we talk about is our habits. So habits, which all these are habits, but this is just the way I break it down, because the 3 H's is just health, habits, happiness. But habits is kind of like where we talk about our routines, our structure, our goals, our environment. So this is where you're going to, excuse me. This is where hold on, let me take a quick drink. This is where we're going to implement some different routines into our schedule. So whether you want to implement kind of like a healthier morning routine, which I have a 7-day healthy habit morning routine reset. If you wanted to try that, or if you want to do a better nighttime routine, like actually wash your face or do something like that, or you want to have more organization in your house. So like maybe organization challenge of like, oh, you know what, this month I'm also going to like get a little bit more organized in my house, maybe start with one drawer at a time, maybe 2 or 3 things a week, but something that's going to be about your productivity, something that's going to be about your organization. So I'm more productive when I'm more organized. So a lot of times I default to organization because it kind of snowballs into being more productive. But it could be like setting up your goals. Like, what do you want to accomplish? What are the action steps that you need to start doing? Is it that you want to start a podcast, or you want to start a YouTube channel? Those are just things that I want to do, guys. But maybe for you, it's like, I want to get promoted at work, or I want to have I want to redo my living room, whatever, on a budget. So how can I start brainstorming these ideas on this, something that's kind of like outside of yourself, that's going to better your environment, that's going to better your productivity, that's going to better the way you feel, it's going to better the way you're reaching towards your goals. And it could be something as simple as just keeping your house a little bit more organized so that you feel a little bit more in control of your day-to-day, or it could be the goal setting stuff. So that's what we talk about in our habits, is some sort of environmental or routine or structure to your actual physical day that is going to help you feel more successful. The last one we talk about is happiness. So happiness is going to be that mind of yours, the mindset. So starting telling yourself like, man, I feel so good without drinking alcohol. Why? Because we know that the benefits are going to kick in. So maybe you don't quite feel them yet. But we know that alcohol is poison. We know there is no scientific basis that says that alcohol is good for you. There was a while ago, there was a study that said like 1 glass of wine was like it's been debunked. Like alcohol, it does not serve you. It is a poison. And either does like fast food or other things that we do. So I'm not saying like you're a horrible person because you want to drink alcohol, but like I know that alcohol doesn't serve me. So if I really want to take this break and I want to be successful during this break, then let's start talking about and having like a mindset around like, I feel really good. I feel in control. I feel present. Like start really pointing out the benefits that you're feeling and work on that mindset around it. Like I am choosing to be healthy because I want to be a better mom. I want to be more present mom. I want to be less like emotionally unstable, because alcohol also, though it calms you, it also causes anxiety for you to feel like you need alcohol to be calmed. So it deregulates you so that you're constantly in the cycle, so that it's like, oh, it's the answer that calms me. Well, it's the answer that calms you, but it's also the problem that's causing you to be anxious. Like it's true. It's addiction, or your addiction to it heightens your inability to handle things, so that you have a reason and justification to go back to it. So if that all makes sense. Does that all make sense, guys? Nod your heads yes if you agree and you understand what I'm saying. Alcohol does not serve you. So let's start working on your mindset around that and happiness around that. So something that's really, really important in the happiness section too is community connection, or some sort of connection. So connecting with people in your area, connecting with the online group and community that I have, connecting more with your family, with your friends, with your kids, but some sort of thing that's like emotionally in your mindset that's going to cause more happiness. So when we talk positively to ourselves, it causes us to be a little bit happier. When we find gratitude in things, it causes us to be a little bit happier. When we connect with other people, it causes us to be a little bit happier. So try to find something, again, baby steps if we need to find more joy, more happiness, more gratitude, more peace in our day. Gratitude is also a great place to start with that. So we talk about affirmations in coaching that I do, but a lot of times people are really uncomfortable with affirmations, especially if you're new to sobriety, because you probably are already kind of battling saying some negative things to yourself. So let's just start with gratitude. So what if at the end of the day, you just wrote down a few things that happened throughout the day, like specific things that happened throughout the day that you're grateful for? Why is this so important? Because when we start to tell ourselves at the end of the day, I'm going to have to write these things down, your brain starts to look for things to be grateful for throughout the day and stops trying to look for things that were bad and unfair and stressful that caused you to want to drink. So if you're like, hey, I'm at the end of this day, I'm going to find things that are positive. I'm going to find things that I'm grateful for. Like, even if it's like that man held the door open for me, which he totally did not have to open that door for me. That was so kind of him to do that. And so I'm going to write down that a man opened the door for me, and that was very kind. Like small things. But when we start to practice in a more gratitude place, we actually are less stressed. We're able to handle things a little bit better. So it's really, really helpful when you are trying to break a bad habit, a habit that wants you to be stressed, a habit that wants you to be overwhelmed, a habit that wants you to crave it. If you're able to be like, you know what, I'm actually pretty grateful for all these things that I have going in my life. I don't need to be stressed. I don't need to be overwhelmed. I don't need to be a victim. I don't need to be need to check out. Like, I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful for everything that's going on. And not always that everything's perfect, right? Like, I'm not like all about toxic positivity where it's just like, my house just burnt down, but now I can roast marshmallows. No, we don't have to be like, things can suck, but we can still find the silver lining. We can still be like, okay. And guess what? When we start to see things that like they could be worse, or that we're grateful for, even the obstacles that we have in our life, we're quicker to problem solve versus needing to check out with alcohol before we're able to cope well enough to problem solve. So when we find gratitude, we actually are able to get to the problem solving stage a lot quicker, which means our obstacles don't have to last as long. We're able to just like, okay, that happened. Cool. This is what I'm going to do to fix it. This is how I'm going to get back on track. This is what I'm going to do for the next day, or the next step, or the next goal, or the next obstacle. So practicing gratitude is a great place to start for the month of October if you're going to do the Sober October. If you would like some community, if you would like some support, and you would like me to go a little bit deeper on those 3 sections that I talked about here today, you can join the 30-day habit reset, where we are talking about quitting habits that no longer serve us, which is alcohol, for this month. So you could be sober already and you're just wanting to implement healthier habits, or you can be sober curious and you're ready to take that break and you really want these habits and routines to kind of walk you through that. But we have a workbook that kind of walks you through what habits to implement, how to implement them, setting those goals for yourself for the month. And then also some lessons in there that goes a little bit deeper, and it comes with a community. So once you get signed up for the 30-day habit reset, you get plugged into the community that you have access to for a lifetime. So in that happiness section, being able to connect with other people that are also trying to set new goals, also trying to get healthy, also trying to get happier and have better relationships. So we can help cheer each other on and support one another in our journeys to hopefully end the year strong. I know I don't want to future trip you guys. Like I already said, I don't want to future trip you, but really think about it right now. Because if you started today and you just started baby steps, where could you be at the end of the year? Because a lot of you right now are probably saying like, oh, I'll get sober in January, or I'll get healthy in January. And why wait 3 more months? Like, you could be starting right here and then by January be up here, which if you guys are listening to this, you can't see me, but let's see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see me like trying to measure this. So if you could start on your elbow, you could be at the top of your head by January. But if you wait, you are going to be starting January on your elbow or your shoulder. So push yourself to start today. And you know what? When you're tested during November and you're tested during December, because yes, those are hard months, it just means you might take a little bit less progress during that time, or you might have a little bit dips, or a few dips, but you're at least going to be farther along and already have a jump start to the end of the year, or to the beginning of next year, than waiting until then. Because if you wait, you could even be farther down. Like, start today. Start taking your health serious today. Start taking your routines and structures and organization and your goals serious today. Start taking your happiness and relationships serious today. And you don't have to be a part of my community to do that. I'm just offering that as something extra you can do if you really, if it feels like a good fit for you. But you can do all this stuff just with what I've talked about today. You can start implementing healthier habits today. You can decide to take a break from alcohol today. You can start your process today. You don't have to wait until January 1st. You do not have to wait until January 1st. We can end the year strong so that we are propelled into the next year's goals. Or you can wait and maybe be even farther down, even be a little bit heavier or a little bit more unhealthy January 1st. Or you can start today. You can start now. You can start in October. You can start with Sober October. I believe in you. I appreciate you being here and listening to this podcast today. I hope you learned something. Sober October, helping you bring awareness to how you feel when you take a break from alcohol, helping you also reminding us that alcohol is linked to several different types of cancer. And then also the benefits that you feel. So the more energy, the better sleep, the more control of your emotions, less irritable, less anxiety, a better immune system. Does that all happen right at first? Not always, especially if you've been drinking heavily. So give yourself some time to readjust your body, and then give yourself the tools and resources by implementing these healthier habits. Implementing the time, like looking ahead and being like, hey, I know I have this wedding I have to go to, or I know I have this dinner I have to go to, or I know I have this Halloween party. I really don't want to drink. What are my action steps? What kind of water can I take? What kind of flavored water can I take? What kind of non-alcoholic drinks can I have? So that I can continue to be successful. Being proactive versus reactive is really going to help you not just get through the month of October, but then really decide if this is something you want to change your lifestyle around. Like, do I really want to continue this journey together, or do I really want to continue this journey of an alcohol-free lifestyle? And if you're able to implement healthier habits versus just white knuckling and not doing the unhealthy one, you're going to find more peace, more happiness, more success overall in all your stuff, like in your health, your habits, and your happiness. So I encourage you to not just take a break from alcohol, but really evaluate things that you could do and implement instead of using alcohol to find more success in the month and to find more progress within the month. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope you have a fabulous Sober October. Please reach out to me if you need anything, any support, any resources, any tools. I am here to help. I'm here to encourage. And if this is your first Sober October, congratulations. Please reach out to me if this is your first Sober October. If you've never gone sober for a month before and you're ready to try it, oh my gosh, I want to support you. I want to cheer you on. So make sure that you reach out to me so I can be there with you on the journey. And good luck. You don't need it though, because I just told you everything you need to be able to be successful. Implement healthier habits, be proactive, and you got this. All right. Have a great day. You guys are all my favorite quitters. Bye.